The suspected Chinese spy balloon making its way across the eastern seaboard was shot down by the military on Saturday.
When I was briefed on the balloon, I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within the 12-mile limit.
China claims the balloon was a civilian research airship used mainly for weather research. They say the balloon went off course. Early Saturday morning, people in parts of North Carolina also reported sightings of the balloon.
Hey, that thing is not the moon. The moon is right there.
Top military officials initially advised against shooting the balloon while it was over the continental U.S. because of the risk debris could pose to civilians and property on the ground.
This thing is so weird. It's definitely moving.
The first sightings were on Wednesday in Reed Point, Montana. Then again on Friday in Pleasant Hill and Columbia, Missouri. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken postponed his weekend trip to China following a phone call with China's top diplomat on Friday.
I made clear that the presence of this surveillance balloon in U.S. airspace is a clear violation of U.S. sovereignty and international law, that it's an irresponsible act.
A U.S. official said a recovery effort off the coast is underway.
It's believed that it took off from China here, came up over the Aleutian Islands past Alaska, Canada down this way, and then ended up down in here. That would be roughly an 8,500-mile trip, or a third of the distance around the world. Let's look at what it came over, though, on the way here. When we had these spottings here, it gave us an idea of the path it was following through the United States here. There are these reports that maybe it was guided to some degree, but this also matches up pretty well with what the jet stream would do with any balloon out there. What did it pass over? Close to a dozen nuclear facilities, missile facilities, somewhere around 5 or 6 large military facilities along the way here, and of course some fairly big towns. It got reasonably close to Kansas City, St. Louis, Nashville, and some others before coming into its finish here at the end. Oren said a moment ago something very interesting when you pair it with what Jim was saying there. They said that this is in 47 feet of water. We had already looked at the ocean shelf out here. Up to about 35 miles before you go out, it can go up to 600, 700 feet. So if it's in 47 feet, that is a very precise, excellent depth for them to recover it in. It also means they know precisely where it came down, that it didn't get lost in the fall and they're out there looking for it. They know where it is.
Okay, let's go back to my colleague Siddhant, who remains with us to bring us details on this entire story. Siddhant, I just want to ask you, apart from the technological aspect we've just focused on, there's also the political messaging of this entire incident. Pentagon officials have called this balloon blatant. They've called it poorly concealed. The Biden administration has called it audacious. And indeed, there does seem to be an almost audacious aspect to this entire thing. The fact that the balloon got so close that it was in American media's focus over the last few days. I just want to ask you, Siddhant, was Chinese efforts here to show America just how close they could get? Was that the political messaging happening here? How do you see it?
Absolutely. And in fact, time and again, Chinese have been doing this. They believe in such kind of geopolitics. And in fact, what they do with India, they send their soldiers on the border, and then they create a tense situation on border, and then they blame India that India has violated the patrolling lines. So this is how Chinese show their aggression. This time around, this balloon was sent to United States, and in fact, this balloon was hovering there for more than a week. And China was making a mockery of United States air defense system. And in fact, Chinese state media was saying that it is nothing but a decoration, that a balloon has entered their airspace. They couldn't stop it. And in fact, they are unable to shoot it down because they don't have a proper mechanism in place to handle such situations. And that was a response which came from Chinese media initially. Now they are saying that America should have responded in a mature way. They should have shown calm and poised attitude towards it. So this is what state media has to say. But look, US-China tensions were escalating since President Trump's regime. It all started from trade war. followed by tensions during COVID mismanagement, the spread of the COVID, and the way United States had blamed China openly in United Nations, followed by Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. And in fact, that entire escalation period went on for more than 2 months. Then during G20 meeting on the sideline of G20 in Indonesia, President Biden and Xi Jinping met, and in fact, both the leaders decided to de-escalate tensions to resolve the existing issues. And for that purpose only, there was a follow-up meeting which was planned with Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State, and he was expected to visit China next week. But right before that, this balloon was spotted hovering over United States, American continent, and that has again was being reported by American media, and in fact, Republicans also were attacking the government, and they have to say that this balloon should be shot down immediately. And in fact, the pressure was mounting on President Biden, both internally and externally also, because American continent, if we talk about the other countries, they were also putting on pressure on US to bring the balloon down, because it was not only violating the US airspace, but it also entered Canada for 3 days. And in fact, Canadian agencies were also monitoring the entire movement of the balloon. So it was a threat to American continent. And America claims to be the world leader. They say that we are here to protect the world. What about the safety of their own continent, their own airspace? So this entire episode has made a mockery of American air defense system and also American administration. So the only option left with Mr. Biden and Pentagon was to bring the balloon down. So they were looking for a right opportunity. And the time this balloon entered airspace right above the sea in South Carolina, the airport operations were paused. Three airport operations were paused in South Carolina, and this Northern Command was given this task to bring down the balloon, and the fighter jets were assigned to Northern Command, and the balloon was shot down. And proper television broadcast has been done by Pentagon and US State Department. In fact, the footages have been circulated on social media to give out a strong message to China. Look, even you have a fleet, you cannot do it again. This is a message which US is giving to China, and this is the reason that Anthony Blinken has also cancelled his high-level visit to China, and he has called this entire act nothing but an irresponsible act by China. So again, this is a new low in a diplomatic relations between US and China, and when the leaders try to de-escalate the tensions, one or the other thing happens and tension again increases. This time around, it is China which is responsible for the tension. China has to say that this balloon was to monitor the atmosphere, monitor the climate, all these reasons they are giving. But any country, any sovereign nation will never tolerate any other nation using its airspace or violating its airspace without the consent of the sovereign government. And this has happened in the United States. This time this happened in the United States, where the government was not aware about this balloon hovering over United States. So
Siddhant, thank
it
you
is
for
a
that
clear